third time that I've shot this video, just for your information. I also want to say, I guarantee there is nobody on YouTube, maybe not even anybody on the earth, who has unintentionally deleted and had to re-record more videos than me. I've done it more times than I can count at this point, but we're gonna get through it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here. Hit that like button and let's get right into today's video. Today we're gonna be talking about Fear Street. Now, I already dedicated an entire video to the origins of this Fear Street trilogy. It's 3 movies, 3 R-rated horror movies based on the R.L. Stine books of the same name. They're going to be released the first 3 weeks consecutively in July 2nd, 9th, and 19th. If you want to watch that video, I fill you in on all the details. But today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper and talking about how the actual books, the book series, tie into the movies. Now, there's over 100 of these Fear Street books. R.L. Stine was writing a book a month when he was cranking these Fear Street books out. I don't know how this guy wrote so many books. The Goosebumps books, Fear Street, I don't know how he did it. There was the original Fear Street series, and then there was Fear Street sagas, there was spin-offs. It was insane the amount of output that he put out. So obviously they can't make 100 movies based on each individual story. As they do with any adaptation, they have to kind of condense things and combine certain plot lines and elements, and that's what they've done ultimately for these movies. But there is some very specific references to certain books and certain characters and certain plot lines, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. In the original series, most of the books are standalone stories with standalone characters and isolated stories of murders and ghosts and supernatural happenings, all of that type of stuff. Although since they were in the same town, some characters would cross over and things like that. So in this book, they condense that, and they have this group of kids that are now dealing with those same supernatural happenings and issues and murders, and these kids are out to discover why the hell their shady side town is cursed, why it's called the Killer Capital USA. A lot of folks have asked, why does it start in 1994, go back to 1978, and then go all the way back to 1666? It's because as these kids trace back the history of the curse, it just keeps on going back further and further and further. Before we get into the big picture of Fear Street, I want to talk about just a couple of the fun Easter eggs and nods to the earlier books that happened in the trailer and a couple of the plot synopsis. Remember, this hasn't been released yet, so for the most part, this is speculation, but we're going to give some examples, and I think I'm right about a few of these. First of all, the old school metalhead in me just has to give a nod to the White Zombie reference in the trailer. Right when the trailer starts, the kid singing the words to More Human Than Human.
Oh man, I turn the world around with the skeleton hand, yeah.
I was such a massive White Zombie fan back in the day. Before it was just Rob Zombie solo, we had White Zombie, and I grew up on White Zombie, so that was really cool to see him kind of singing those words. Really tiny little piece of the trailer, but I appreciate the nod to the era. Now, when I'm diving into these Easter eggs and I'm talking about this trailer, the trailer that we were given shows clips from all 3 movies, okay? It's not just a trailer for 1 or 2. It's a little bit of everything. Maybe eventually as it gets closer, we'll get trailers for each individual movie. Now, one of the most obvious references to the book, and what seems to be a fairly major plot point, is the appearance of Camp Nightwing. Camp Nightwing first made its appearance in Fear Street book issue 12, which was called Lights Out. It told a story where junior counselor Holly Flynn tries to survive as her fellow counselors are slowly being murdered.
You were the only person who survived this.
You have to go back to where it all started.
So in reference to the trailer, you can see Jillian Jacobs seems to be playing this character that survived some sort of massacre at Camp Nightwing. The kids from 1994 are talking to the grown-up version of Jillian Jacobs' character, who tells the kids that she has survived this attack back in 1978. So that shows us how they're going to kind of thread the line going back in time with these characters. I don't know how they're going to do it the whole way through, but the kids are talking to Jillian Jacobs' character about what happened in 1978, and I think that starts taking them back in time a little bit to when that big massacre happened. Supposedly she was the only survivor of this attack, and it's clearly a reference from issue 12, Lights Out. Now, these next ones are a little bit more obscure, and we'll just have to see if it pans out, but the mysterious phone call that the character gets could be a callback to a couple different books, but it could be a nod to Fear Street number 5, The Wrong Number, where a character's half-brother prank calls a number and accidentally catches the attention of a murderer. And also the shot of the 2 girls in bed certainly is a nod to the cover of this book. I think those 2 girls in the bed is definitely probably more of a nod to The Wrong Number. It could also be a callback to Fear Street number 2, The Surprise Party, where Meg starts getting creepy calls and threats, all pushing her to cancel the party she's trying to throw for a friend. So those two books that could be referenced are number 5 and number 2. Now, one thing about the mysterious phone call is I think on that phone call, to me, it sounds like Jillian Jacobs' voice.
Hello?
Still alive.
Who is this?
It's happening again.
So I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Like I said, the movies aren't out. Take this with a little bit of a grain of salt because we haven't seen them. This is just speculation, but these are my predictions. Also, another reference that I feel is definitely a callback to what I think is the very first issue of Fear Street, The New Girl, is the reference when this character says this.
How should I know? She was hot! The bitch seemed normal.
The very first issue of Fear Street was called The New Girl, about a guy who gets in a relationship or meets this girl, and it turns out that she may not even be real. This could also be reference to Fear Street number 37, The Perfect Date. The plot synopsis reads, the memory of his girlfriend killed in a gruesome sledding accident last year is beginning to fade. Now he's met Rosha Nelson, the girl of his dreams, and he's never been happier until Brady starts to see a strange figure with a terribly scarred face following him everywhere. So we could be talking about The Perfect Date. We could be talking about The New Girl, issue 1. You don't know. We're getting deep into it, and now we're going to broaden it out a little bit, and we're going to talk about the history of Shadyside, because like I said, there's over 100 books, so they're not focusing on every single storyline in all those books. They're creating a nice through line, a nice condensed version of the entire lore of all the books, and putting them in a story that works cohesively throughout 3 movies, giving us a group of kids who start slowly discovering that they might be the next victims of this curse, and they want to find out the origins of this curse. And that specific curse, the origin of the curse, the prequel, if you will, of the Fear Street books were the Fear Street sagas, the original trilogy, The Betrayal, The Secret, and The Burning. That was the original trilogy, and they also had a follow-up sequel to those sagas, which went even further into the backstories of the curse on Shadyside. It goes all the way back to the witch trials between these two families that were cursed and that cursed the town forever. That's where all that footage that looks like it's coming from all the 1600s, the Puritans and the burnings, and they talk about the witches. That's where all that stuff started. And the town of Shadyside, or what was that area before Shadyside was even Shadyside, was cursed way back then. The Fear family was cursed during the witch trials, and that curse had lived through the ages, destroying lives and driving people insane. And by the people, that is every teenager who ever lived in Shadyside and anybody who comes in contact with the Fear family. If you want to know all that information before seeing the movies, I'll link all of my sources that I use to find this information down below. But I just thought it would be fun to sort of speculate on possibilities of book references, dig a little deeper into what this series is going to be about. I'm obviously very excited about it, and I hope you guys are too. I think this is going to prove to be a really cool event for Netflix, not just doing a mini series, but actually doing a trilogy of full-length R-rated movies with a great cast. The performances look great. It looks like it's shot really well. All these 3 movies were shot consecutively, but yeah, all that information is in that first video that I posted, so I hope this is helpful. I also wanted to mention, if anybody knows any deep dive information about these books, or you want to offer any insight, hit me up on Instagram, DM me. I might make a follow-up video and speculate even further. So if there's any big Fear Street heads, comment down below. I'll pin the more interesting comments. Hit me up on Instagram with any deep dive information you think might be helpful into deep diving this series, and I will respond to you. Like I said, this is the 3rd time I've recorded this video. I hope I didn't leave out anything that I wanted to talk about. I don't think I did. I'm sure I did, though. I'm such a scatterbrained fool. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think we're done here, guys. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.